Joining us now, Loyola Blakefield legend, former Terp, Whipsnakes defender, the great Matt Dunn is back with us here on GCR. Matt, it's Glenn. It's awesome to catch up with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Glenn, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, bro, everything good? Are you still have you been able to get over how Loyola Blakefield's season came to an end this season? Like, has there been a particular Calvert Hall alum in your life that has been vocal about it whatsoever that you'd like to punch them right in the face?
You know, Glenn, I'm over it. I think, they had a great team this year. Will Hawes, the head coach there, has done an incredible job. Some of the seniors at Loyola this year, I coached there until 2023, so I got to coach them their freshman year a bit. So I know some of those guys. Unfortunately, I'm probably friends with too many Calvert Hall alums now, just through the realms of playing against and with guys after college and pros, and they've been kind enough not to rub it in.
All right, well, that's nice of them. That is really nice of them. We were chatting with Billy Dwan last week as he was getting ready for the Final Four, and he said that the Wyatt Hoddle was not letting him hear the end of it. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get it, man.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't if I were him either. Matt, these weekends, right? Like coming back and playing. Obviously, it's a different time this time because it's going to be at Ridley instead of being at Homewood Field. But for you in particular, right? Like, what does this weekend mean to you? I'm sure even as much as you've accomplished and as much as you've done now in your career, no pun intended, you probably still feel something special about getting the chance to play at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I just getting to play it all, you kind of alluded to it, but I'm getting up there. I played for a little while. But I mean, I don't take for granted the chance to get to play. And I love it. I think getting to play back in Maryland is really special. I remember playing at Ridley, my freshman year in college, playing against Loyola the year after they had won the national championship.
Right? Yeah.
So that's how what I am here. But getting to still do it is pretty cool. And then getting to play in Maryland, like I'm still playing with some of my Maryland teammates from college and with guys I never got to play with just because we didn't overlap there. But we, share the bond of going to Maryland. And, my friends and family get to come out to a game, which with the PLL schedule, like they're not all going to make the trip out to, out to San Diego or Denver or wherever. So the chance that they get to come out and see me play is pretty special too.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt. And it's, look, we talk about it with everybody, but it's not to say there aren't other great locations that you guys go to or lacrosse rabid places, but it just feels like the atmosphere is a little bit different when you guys play here than it is in most of the spots that you play at during the course of the summer.
Yeah. I think for the people here, there's a lot of connection. So I think a lot of guys in the league come from either Maryland or around here. So you're getting a lot of, family and friends coming out to the games, but also, people that like kids will come that guys that are playing have like coached and a lot of relationships or like went to the same high school as those guys or something like that. So I think there's just a lot of connection between the players and the fans when you play at a place like Maryland and then, or in Maryland at Loyola. And there's a ton of history too. So I agree. I think a lot of people feel that in the atmosphere. And it's just always so much fun getting to play back in Maryland.
Matt Dunn is with us ahead of Whipsnakes homecoming weekend. Matt, you mentioned it, right? Like we were joking with Pinnell yesterday, like that he's basically, in like the old folks home at this point. You're not quite there, but you're not terribly far behind him. What's driving you, right? Like you've done everything. You've won the titles. You've been player of the year. You've been a world champion. Like what's driving you that is pushing you to keep going out there, grinding, having to work multiple jobs to want to keep doing this every summer?
Yeah, it's a great question. I just love it. And I think at the end of the day, like, is what I tell, kids that want to play in college, you can kind of fake it and try to do the things, but if you don't love it, it's going to be really hard because you gotta sacrifice a lot for it. And you gotta kind of build your life around it. And for me, like, one, I love playing, the chance to compete, but I love being on a team and my teammates are awesome. So, going to a game and being on the bus to practice, being out there, getting to be an adult and still throw the ball around and compete and kind of, get after something in a physical manner is just not the normal way life tends to go after, you finish sports. So I think the answer is like, it's not really about accomplishing anything else per se. Obviously we want to win, but it's just like doing the best we can and competing with like people that you really love doing it with. It's just so much fun for me still.
That's really cool, man. Does the part of it where obviously the team is called the Maryland Whipsnakes, we know that Paul and Mike's goal is at some point in the coming years to start entrenching more in local communities and playing more home games and having more of a natural home situation. Does that resonate with you more, like wanting to be a part of this because you are Baltimore Lacrosse, right? Like you are Maryland, and not just because you're from here or played there, but the relationships that you maintain and the significance that you still hold in this community. Does that mean a little bit more to you to be a Maryland Whipsnake and to maybe help in that whatever that transition ends up being to trying to make this more of a true home team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly part of it. I'm a very loyal guy, and I think being from here and look, I'm lucky. I went to university. I'm from Maryland. I got recruited to play at University of Maryland, and I did, and I got drafted to the Maryland Whipsnakes. Like those are all those didn't really have anything to do with me. They're outside of my control. But looking back at it, like it's something special getting to represent the state of Maryland. I know the league wants to move more towards that home-based model. Mm-hmm. And I think, we take a lot of pride, forget Maryland for a second, just in the Whipsnakes and our culture and just the way we conduct ourselves.
Sure.
But I think the fact that we get to do that with Maryland as our home and hopefully in the future, the league continues to have, a ton of success. And it really is like that, home sports franchise. It would be really cool to feel like I had a part in the foundation of that.
Well, and you bring it up, like the Whipsnakes brand has mattered since the launch of the PLL, right? Like it has been one. I know that everybody's gotten on board with like the Water Dogs, but the brand of the Whipsnakes has mattered too. And how much of that have you felt? And that that there is something to be said, as we're trying. There can't be a Yankees or a Red Sox, right? Because the league hasn't been around that long. But like in trying to establish that as being a historic part, that in 50 years we're going to look back and say and talk about the Whipsnakes like they talk about, say, the Green Bay Packers, right? Like, does that register with you a little bit?
A little bit. Sometimes I try to think far ahead, and we joke about like the comparisons of what the NFL used to be, and maybe that's what the PLL is now, and when we're grandparents and all that, and that's cool. But yeah, I think, the one thing, we're younger as a team now. We've lost a lot of players to retirement. Like we were very good early on with a lot of guys that came in their veteran years. And like any franchise, like we've gone through that process. And right now there's less and less guys that are of my, vintage and a ton, within 5 years out of college and even less than that. And they're great. And the one thing that I just really like hope to bestow upon them is kind of that culture that we've built and the just the Whipsnakes brand is probably more of the external view of it. I think internally we'd call it culture, but that it is special and different, and that we want to do things a certain way, and winning is a byproduct of how we approach the game.
Matt Dunn with us here on GCR, getting ready for homecoming weekend for the Whipsnakes. Matt, this team this year, obviously last year was disappointing, right? Tell me about coming off a hell of a performance, right? And maybe as we joked about with Rob yesterday, the bye came at the worst time. But, tell me about this team, this group, how you guys approach this season and handle the disappointment of last year and how you're going to be better for it this year.
Yeah, I think it always sucks losing, and unfortunately one team's happy at the end of the year. We spent a lot of time at the end of last season just talking about the things we could have done better. And the truth is, in this league, a lot of the work happens in the off season. Like if you want to get stronger, faster, and improve, like you can't do it in May when the season starts. So we spent a lot of time talking about, especially with younger guys that are used to the college routine of being on campus every day with a coach, like how to handle the professional season, off season, if you will. And I think guys did an incredible job of that. And so far for me, one message we told the guys as we get younger and younger each year is like, you can't be a young guy in this league. Like only 19 guys dress. Like if you're a guy that's dressing, you guys were all captains on your high school and college teams. You were the best players, all Americans. Like, you got to be that for us. And I think you're seeing that, like Aiden Carroll in his second year just got voted captain for us.
Right.
And he's been excellent on the field, but he's a leader off the field too, which is what we needed. And it's kind of the messaging of like, this is not an age thing. Like, we need guys that can add value to the team and help move us towards our goals. And so far, I think we're seeing that from a lot of the younger guys, which has been really cool.
He's a hell of a player too, man. He's an unbelievable.
Awesome. Yeah. Incredible.
The Joey Spallina effect, right? Like, what are you excited? I don't know if you've had a chance. Obviously, you guys aren't going to be playing together, like on the same part of the field. But have you had a chance to get to know him just in circles? And how excited are you for what he's going to bring, given just his unbelievable ability?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to meet Joey a few times. I texted him when we drafted him, and he's one of the first guys that, we haven't had a top three. We've had one top three draft pick ever in Whipsnakes history, and we picked Ajax Apatella with that a few years ago, so a defender. So obviously we've drafted guys like TJ and Aiden and other great offensive players, but this is one of the first like top three, I guess, guys we've ever gotten in a draft. And Joey, Joey's an excellent player. He can do so many things, which I think is great about him. He can dodge, he can feed, he can play without the ball. And so I'm really interested to see how he can blend in to an offense where all of a sudden, he's not the main focal point of every scouting report, which for a lot of these guys in college is the case. And maybe he can fit into the flow of an offense. And I think his style of play is going to blend really well with our offense and the way the PLL game kind of flows.
I think it's a great fit, and really excited about, obviously, the fact that he gets to make his debut here on homecoming weekend, which is really cool. All right, the difficult question, obviously, what's the group text of the alumni say? Obviously, no one's going to suggest that, like, Tills is losing it because he's probably the best coach in all of college lacrosse, but, like, it's got to be a bitter pill for this team to have come up short of the NCAA tournament this year and ended the streak. How does that get fixed quickly for your boys?
Yeah, I think first off is the expectations of that program are unreal, and in juxtaposition to the success that they've had, it looks like, a bad year, which, it wasn't a great year for them, but they set the standard so high. Coach Tills has set the standard so high that if he's basically in the championship game, like something was off there. And they play the toughest schedule every year. And a lot of the years, if you look at it, they win a lot of those games by 1, 2, or 3 goals. And this year they happen to lose a lot of those games by 1, 2, or 3 goals. And so we don't, from the alumni standpoint, we have all the faith in the world in Coach Tills and what he's done to that program and for that program. I think as far as fixing it goes, like, the coaching staff there is so great that they'll figure it out. There's nothing broken. I think it's just get back to the basics, which they're always great at. And it just feels like this is just one of those years where if you play enough against a great competition, which, man, the college lacrosse landscape has gotten so competitive with how many teams are really at that higher level now. I think it's more likely than not that eventually you're going to have a year where things don't go as well. And unfortunately that was this year, but from our point of view, all the faith in the world in Coach Tillman, the staff, the players, like, they're going to figure it out.
I can appreciate that, and I echo those sentiments, right? There's very few coaches I would trust more. Have you been practicing your Japanese at all?
I have not been.
Not started to work on that?
I got it keyed up in my Duolingo app, though, so I think I need to get on it.
I know that you got to do it, right? But, like, is there something that maybe would be even more meaningful about getting to represent the U.S. in another country, right? Obviously, you got to do it in San Diego, which was so cool. But is there something about that would be maybe even cooler getting to do it in Japan next year?
Yeah, and once again, I'm still, I'm fortunate enough to be selected to the tryout process, so the training roster. We still have a process to go through to make the team and all of that. But yeah, anytime you get to put on the USA jersey and represent your country, it's, in my opinion, the greatest experience in lacrosse and the greatest honor in lacrosse. And different area. I think it would be different. It's hard for me to visualize it. We did it in California last time, which was cool, but I think something about doing it
right
so far away, the other side of the world, essentially, and being able to represent our country and United States lacrosse. It would be pretty special.
I think it would be, man. I think it would be. There's something, again, just something even cooler about the chance to do that on the global stage, man. Matt Dunn, of course, at I'm Dunn tweeting, which is mostly true on Twitter.
Yeah, mostly true.
Mostly true.
More of a follower now.
Yeah, right. Matt _ Dunn 33 on Instagram is how you follow him. And you still have the website?
What's that?
Didn't you have a website for like coaching at one point that we could plug?
We do. I run a business with a friend of mine, Deemer Class, who's actually a Loyola Don as well.
Yeah.
Called First Class Lacrosse. Him and I, he started his clinics business 8 or 9 years ago, and about 7 years ago, I quit my consulting job and started doing some clinics, and we got lucky that it's continued to turn into something that we can, make a career out of.
That's what I thought.
That's been a ton of fun.
Awesome,
yeah, it's called First Class Lacrosse.
Awesome, man. Matt Dunn, excited to see you this weekend. Going to be really cool having it at Loyola this year, my stomping grounds, and a place where I got to call Matt Dunn playing against Loyola years ago. So I'm looking forward to seeing you out there. Always appreciate you, man. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Glenn, always fun to be on. I appreciate
Thanks,
you.
buddy.